Hello, Saskia here, devotional goddess. Someone asked me over the weekend, what have your kids taught you? Or what has parenthood taught you? And because I had said, we have kids and we think, oh, there's so much I can teach them. And, you don't really know until you're in it just how much these little beings have to teach us. All the myriad of ways that things come up for us and situations present themselves. So my response was patience. My kids have taught me patience, to hold a bandwidth, to see where my knee-jerk reactions are and to breathe through it and to try to lessen those knee-jerk reactions and to witness, to expand my ability to love and be compassionate and caring. They trigger us in so many ways. And what I've noticed, what really happens is that often they trigger the wounded parts of ourselves. They trigger the parts of ourselves that still have wounding from our own 3-year-old, our own 8-year-old, our own 14-year-old, or, wherever we are as we grow and as they grow. And I've learned to learn a different language for each child. I remember vividly speaking in the car to my youngest, and I was like, whoa, that's not the right language. That's how I speak to my elder daughter. That's not how my younger daughter can hear me or understand what I'm saying. And it's often a very subtle shift in tone or in verbiage, but there's definitely, like, my younger is more physical. She's more tactile. My elder is more cerebral. So the words that I use with my elder, she can click into it. When she was younger and testing the boundaries, as they do in every cycle of their own evolution, I had said to her, watch out. When you behave like this and your body gets really floppy, you end up being injured. You hurt your arm last time, you hit your head last time. She heard me, she caught herself and she stopped. She's like, oh yeah, this doesn't hurt anyone but me. Whereas my younger child, I've had to restrain her in the sense of giving her a safe container. And I've needed to hold her and say, I'm holding you because you need to know that you're safe and you don't know how to contain your energy yet. So I'm teaching you how to do it. You are safe. You are safe. I am here to teach this. She needed that physical container for me to hold her so that she could ground and anchor. So it's really interesting how they've helped me to expand my way of communicating, and each in a different way, and each in a different form of tough love, if you will, and in a different form of holding the space for love. Now, the other aspect is, as I touched on, those wounded parts of ourselves. And even the parts that we've worked on will resurface for another layer of healing as our children grow. When my eldest turned 8 was where I had a significant trauma in my life, an abuse. And I had not paralyzing fear, but I was well aware, because I've been working on this trauma many times over the years, and there have been, a handful, 5 or 6, well, I don't know. Yeah, 4 or 5 times where I've really been confronted with it, and I've done a layer of healing around it. And now that I had children, now that I have children, and my eldest was around 8, I witnessed another fear of her experiencing that abuse. And of course it didn't happen. She's got another karma. She's got a different life. You know, it wasn't to be repeated. And then again, with the younger, and her anger and her emotional physicality, there was another aspect, and I came to see, oh my goodness, in some ways, she is expressing the rage that I suppressed. Because she's not afraid of her anger. She's not afraid of her emotions in that regard. And I suppressed it. So it was really interesting how both independent children have offered me another layer, another opportunity to heal that part in myself. And they will continue to as they grow. They will continue to offer opportunities to me and their father in how we can evolve and how we can grow. And it is our free will each and every time, if we are able, willing, and in a space to be able to take that on. So know that this, especially right now, this is a time of great opportunity for us to heal our trauma, heal our past. And it can be with grace and ease. It doesn't have to be a harsh, tumultuous, traumatic reliving. By no means is that the case. Often it can be a lot smoother, especially when it is held in a container and held with a healer, with someone who can hold the space with you and help you to visit that place of trauma, a place of fear, place of hurt, but yet allow it to be discharged so you can visit it from another perspective without the trigger of the emotional charge that you experienced when you had it. Now, one of my first releases was, gosh, it was about, I think it was like 2003 or 4, something like that. And I visited that place where the trauma happened. And I went into meditation and I forgave the perpetrator. I asked for a forgiveness and I forgave myself, because I don't know on what timeline I may have harmed this person. Was it a clearing of karma? Was it a coming back of karma? I don't need to know. But what I did need to do was forgive, ask for forgiveness, and forgive myself. I kid you not. That night, I broke out in a full body rash. I had to wake up one of my housemates to drive me to CVS to get Benadryl or something so that this itching all over my body could be supported in subsiding. But then even it was such a affirmation of, wow, I released it on the cellular level. It lived under my skin and I released it. When there were other landmarks that I came to throughout my journey of healing and self-development and evolution, where I consciously worked on this, several peeling away of the onion. And another layer was during COVID. Last September, actually, when I got COVID. And that night, I knew I had COVID, and I put my head on the pillow and I asked, whatever needs to be released, may it be released. Whatever programming, imprinting, whatever is ready to be let go of, may it be released for the new to come through. And I say that whenever I'm sick, whenever I have an illness, or that's what I had when I had breast cancer, I said the same. If it's a physical, mental, and emotional sickness, I ask it to be released. I allow for the old to come to the surface and for the new to make way for the new. I don't believe anything is an accident. Everything is in divine order. So when I had COVID last year, I wasn't afraid. I knew I'd be fine. But I put my head on the pillow at bedtime. I had some crazy dreams that week when I was poorly. And one of those nights was indeed me breaking free from that hold of the perpetrator. Because all my life I've been aware. I knew where I was wounded, but I was always fascinated how the mind blocks out the actual event, and how amazing the mind is at self-preservation, and how when you are in trauma, often you check out, right? Your soul leaves. It's like, we're shutting down. We check out. We escape. Because we have to, because it's too much, especially for a child to comprehend. Violation like that is just too much. So the body, you check out. So if anybody asks, well, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I just know I was violated. I just know this man crawled into bed with me and he got undressed and he wouldn't let me go. And finally he passed out and I could break free from his arms, and I crawled out of the bed and I crawled around the bed and went out through the bathroom. That I remember. That I've always known. But what actually happened once he crawled into bed with me? I left my body. But it was traumatic because I spoke up. I said, no, you don't belong here. Go away. Go away. You don't belong here. And the caretaker, my parents were traveling. They were away just for 2 nights, and they had entrusted someone, and she had invited the taxi driver who she had met into the house, and they'd been drinking. I believe she thought he had passed out downstairs. And I was sleeping in my parents' bed because that was the safe place for me to be. And yet, there's a stranger undressing in my parents' bedroom and getting into bed with me. So, traumas are real. And I'd always been fascinated. Do I need to know? I don't, because my mind's blocked it out. So be it. I don't need to quantify it. But in that dream, when I had COVID last year, I felt the constriction and the wanting to break free and not being able to release from the hold. And then it was released and I shot up and I broke free. This was the symbolism in the dream. And it's so important for us to allow ourselves to heal. As scary as the trauma, the possibility of seeing the full amount of the trauma, we don't need to see the full amount of the trauma. We never do. If the consciousness has blocked it, trust that. It's fine. At that time last year, that next piece of the puzzle that I saw because I had been asking to see it was shown to me. And it liberated me, and I was in an evolutionary conscious state in my personal growth that I could still hold that, honor it, and not be freaked out by it. Because my inner wisdom knew, okay, you want to see this? This is what you can see. And this is what you're releasing now. There's so much wisdom within this body of ours. There's wisdom within our minds too. Honor it. Trust in it. And if you want to work through and heal your trauma, know that you have the courage within you to do it. Because you do. You are braver. You are stronger. You are more courageous than you know. And if you're hearing these words, you know it. You know you are. And if you are hearing these words and this resonates with you, it is time, my love. It is time for you to let it go. Reach out. Have someone hold that space with you. Reach out to a healer. I do this work with my clients. Message me. Book a session with me. I can hold this space for you and work with you through this. Don't allow any judgment to come in of, well, it didn't look like this, or I know someone who's had a lot different trauma or bigger trauma. No, trauma is trauma. And it's got a hold of you and your life. And that's what you want to release. That's what's most important. Is there something from your past that is limiting you from moving forwards? That feels that it has its grip on you? And that you have been aware that it's been showing up in your consciousness, in your subconsciousness. I've worked with pregnant mamas too. Often the reason why pregnant mamas aren't fully dilating is because there's trauma somewhere in the body. They don't feel safe enough within this vessel to allow themselves to release and surrender to the contractions, to the power of the body, because the body has the wisdom it needs of what it needs to do, how it needs to release. So just like when I released it from my consciousness, my body released it through my skin. Your dreams will be informing you. Your conversations, your interactions, your fears, all of these aspects will be informing you. They always will, they always have. They will continue to inform us as to where we are blocked, where we have triggers, where we can continue to do our healing work. And once you've acquired a toolkit, then you can run with it yourself. But sometimes often in the beginning, you want someone to hold that space and container with you. And then as you continue to release and release, you feel the power, the benefit, and the empowerment that comes from it, that liberates you. And then you're like, oh, that wasn't actually as scary as I thought it was going to be. And boy, do I feel lighter. Do I feel more powerful? Do I trust in myself more? And this is what we want. Woman, man, it's not gender specific. This is for all of us right now. This is our time to feel empowered. This is our time to step forwards and come to discover who we really are in our greatness, and to be able to move, live, and operate from a place of love. And I knew that as soon as COVID started, and all the duality and the polarization that was being projected and supported in the media and in multiple ways, I was like, no, this is not what brings us together. We need to come together in love. And once I became aware of that, I stepped out of one channel and I stepped into another. And I'm like, nope, my voice is going to be for love. It's not going to be for polarization. It's not going to be for this group or that group. I'm moving in the middle ground with love. And the more releasing of our traumas we do, the more releasing of our fears that we do, the more we are able to be right here, steady, stable, and coming from a place of love. Because we know within ourselves what that love is. And we're continuing to build upon it every single day. Many blessings. I hope this has resonated with you. It's a bit of a longer video today, but this is what was needed to come through today. If this resonates, if you'd like to work with me, click the links below, book a session. It would be my honor, my pleasure to support you on your journey at this time. Many blessings.